Well, hello, everybody watching from around the world. We are back as every single Saturday on the Women Power Show. Women Power, a global movement, bringing independence, tools, strategies, empowerment to women all over the world so they can become active agents of the community so they can become independent at all levels. And today with me, I have one of those women who, the minute you see her, you feel her power. She is, my goodness, she is an absolute powerhouse. And I'm just delighted that the audience watching from all over the world, where you're watching, whether you're watching from, on YouTube or global TV or Facebook, or if you're joining us on the Zoom call also, you are going to absolutely love my guest today because she is so inspiring. The things she has achieved, it's just, I mean, I was thinking before we started the show, I was thinking if I read her whole bio, I mean, not her whole bio, like the short bio, the resume, it will be here for the whole show. So this is how much this incredible woman has achieved. And I think it's much more interesting that instead of me speaking about and just reading out her intro, she can take us through a journey, a story of how she has become a woman of excellence. Because, on every show on Saturday, we bring women of excellence from all over the world so they can inspire you. So you can see that it is possible for you. To all the girls watching, to all the women watching, to all the people watching, it is possible for you. And today, with me here, all the way from the US, is the wonderful Professor Honor Miller. Hello, Professor Honor. Hello. I'm so delighted to have you on the Women Power Show.
Well, hello, and I am delighted to be here. It is an honor, and I just appreciate you for considering me to be able to say something that will hopefully, inspire someone and encourage them and motivate them and let them know, basically just give them hope. We need that. And so thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely. You needed to be here on the show because you are certainly a woman of excellence. Now, I am going to share a few things about you, just so the audience knows, but then I want to ask you so you can tell us about it. So, Professor Honor Miller is a top executive leadership advisor to female leaders and organizations. And she's also founder of Female Civility Initiative and National Female Civility Day, which is celebrated every year on the 17th of September. She is a best-selling published author. She is a speaker. She is, as I said before, a powerhouse and so many more things, okay? But we want to hear it firsthand from her. So, Professor Honor, I think many times when we think about women empowerment, some people tend to think that you need to be, how can I say this, that, your childhood shapes and forms the ability to become an empowered woman. Now, we all know that childhood is terribly important and it does shape us in many ways, but also life, life happening to us, experiences, circumstances. So we want to bring, as you said, I love that you say hope because it's true. Yeah. We want to inspire people watching this show to have hope and to know that there is a load of possibilities and that they can achieve. Mm-hmm. So let's start by sharing a bit about your childhood. And I've read lovely things about what you have learned from your mom and your dad. And I think that's really shaped you into who you are today, that woman of excellence. But what was little professor, you were not a professor back then. What were you like as a child? Where did you grow up and how did that childhood shape you?
Well, as a child, and I'm so glad we're starting from here because I think that is so important. Because I remember being, a little girl, and I remember being different. I remember, being, like the tallest in the class. I remember being, having the largest, stature in the class. And so I had to learn very early to like just accept who I was regardless. And as a little girl, my mom aided in that, my confidence level, telling me, that I could, have all the dreams and, just whatever I wanted to do, I could be and I could do. I think that is so important because as little girls, we often look at like all the fairy tales, like Cinderella and, all of the Pocahontas and all of those things. And even when we watch those as little girls, we understand that they were not perfect. Like their whole life, even though it was a fairy tale, it was not perfect. Even the fairy tales had some struggles and some challenges, but in the end, they would overcome. And so I just love the fact that little girls need to know that they can be and do whatever they want to do and be. And it doesn't necessarily have to stem on your past or what you're going through, with maybe your family situation, because we do have young girls out there who maybe don't have, a family. They could be, an orphan, or they could be, in a homeless shelter, or they could be living with other relatives because their parents may be deceased. I mean, there's so many other scenarios out there for young girls who I would hope wouldn't give up. I would hope that they would learn from those experiences, take those experiences and step on those experiences to become whatever they want to be. And it doesn't have to be a doctor. It doesn't have to be a lawyer. It does not have to be a politician. It does not have to be any of those things. Just, find what it is that they're passionate about, find what it is that makes them happy and fulfilled. And I have to say this, even as a professor and someone who has had, who has 2 doctorate degrees, it doesn't even have to be that you go to school for this long period of time and, you come out with all of this education, because some of the best education that you can ever have is through experience and life experience.
Definitely, definitely. In the end, the other serves as a foundation, but it doesn't mean, it doesn't shape you into what you can become. I love what you said, because that is so important, that anyone watching this, you can be, do, or have whatever you like, no matter your circumstances.
Yeah.
And even if you go through struggles, you know what, in the end, those struggles usually become opportunities. They usually become your superpowers. And people who don't go through those struggles maybe are lacking that, that superpower. So in the end, it's always a good thing, although when you're in the middle of it, it doesn't feel that way, obviously.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. So I'm really curious, because I think you must have devoted a great part of your life to study, because just everything you've been able to accomplish comes from, a life of study, effort, commitment, obviously, and confidence in your ability. So when did you find I would call it a vocation in your case, because your whole, this is what I perceive, because I know you and seeing what you do and knowing what you do, I think your life mission is women empowerment. You are giving women, females around the world, the tools to be empowered at all levels. And when did you feel that you wanted to do that for a living?
Well, I felt that way, like I said before, because I was so different in school. And a lot of times I was not accepted into the in crowd, or, at all the parties, or, and even in my adulthood, even now, I'm not accepted in all of the rooms, or, in all of the, groups or organizations, and that's okay. So what I started doing, thinking to myself, you know what? We as women, we try so hard to fit in, like every category that they provide, from society to tradition to culture, to even as far as our families, we try to fit in so hard to be everything that everybody wants us to be. We try to be everything that everybody needs, wants, desires. And before we know it, Melanie, we lose our own identity. And then, we look back in our lives and we're thinking, okay, wait a minute, who am I? Like, this is nothing close to what I thought my life would be or look like, and then we find out this is something that I'm doing that I'm not even passionate about, that I don't even think is my purpose. And so I started studying on that. And for my dissertation, I started studying all of the societal, traditional, and cultural barriers that women actually have to face, the things that they actually encounter and have to go through, those internal and those external barriers, and I thought, okay, how am I going to get these barriers identified and actually break them off of the lives of women? And the only way I could think of is through education. We have to unlearn and then learn again. It starts here with our mind. And once we get it in our mind, everything else follows. And so we have to break those mental barriers through education. Sometimes I stop women and I say, okay, what is it that you believe? Like, not religion, not your ritual practices, nothing like that. But what do you believe, like, about yourself, about what you're passionate about? What do you believe about your purpose? Because I believe that everyone, women, men, children, everyone, we were created with a purpose. And I believe that our purpose is an actual antidote to something that exists here on the earth that needs a resolution or a solution. And so if we're not operating in that, then we don't experience fulfillment. So I know for me, my purpose and my fulfillment is educating women to break those internal and external barriers so that they can overcome, so that they can triumph, so that they can, look at their life and be like, yes, I did it. And they don't feel so defeated or so in a box, or so their lives are not narrated by someone else. And so that's I wake up literally every morning thinking, oh, what can I do next? For the female, and I think about the little girls too, because this is a generational thing. And I think it starts when the girls are, they're young, adolescents and teenage years, and definitely those years, right before they think they're grown. So that's my passion and my life. And that's what when I go to bed at night, that's what I'm thinking about. And I'm not just thinking about the females locally. I'm thinking about them all across the globe and around the world, because I do realize that those internal and external barriers are different in different regions, in different countries, in different communities. So yeah, I just think that we all need to be finding out what our purpose is. And I think we need to be getting to it because the world needs us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's such a joy to listen to you and watch you, because we can feel that passion and your commitment to that mission. And it's just beautiful to watch. And like the field of work you've been able to develop is just so enriching, not just for the females that are lucky to work with you, but for anyone in contact with you. I think your whole circle is able to perceive that passion. And I know for a fact that just reading your posts and seeing how much intention and power you bring to every single post, it's just uplifting. Every single post that Professor Honor posts on her newsfeed is inspiring us. It's bringing hope. It's all about sharing nuggets of wisdom that you can take with you. I love to read your posts because it just gives me something to think about every day when I come across your posts. And that is something that I've probably never told you, but I am grateful for that, because you bring light, you bring wisdom, and you bring empowerment to my news feed. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because that encourages me and that gives me hope, which is what we need to do. That's a part of it, coming together and just saying how you impact my life. and how you make me think and how you make me review, my belief and assess myself to see how I can be better. So that's what it's about. And thank you for that. Now, when I post, I'm going to be very careful, making sure that I'm posting, those wisdom keys and those nuggets and all of those good things. So thank you for sharing that.
You already do it, so you don't have to change a thing. But I just wanted to say it because I don't think I've ever have shared that with you. So you were speaking about internal and external barriers, and even like Ms. DK back, she has mentioned it on the chat here. They are very different in different regions, and that's one thing we have noticed, obviously we already knew, but the beauty also about the women power movement, it's because it's a global movement, we get to work on initiatives that each region needs.
Yes.
And it's just fascinating because you cannot just use the same strategies, the same initiatives worldwide, because although we are women and many of the issues or struggles or needs we have are similar because we are women, but geographical location also plays a huge part in it. And I know some of the things you've been speaking about really resonate, because in the group in Spain, we have been working on finding your purpose, because so many people go through life without knowing their purpose. And I don't want to say that's wrong, they might have a great life, but I think life can be so much fulfilling when you do have a purpose. It just gives you that extra motivation, a reason to get up in the morning. It's just the fuel you have, that intrinsic motivation that is so powerful. So, and also another thing that you mentioned is how we have to unlearn things. And I just had this conversation the other day. It's like we spend our childhood and youth learning things that some of those things, not all of them, luckily, we need to unlearn when we're adults. And it's just, oh my goodness. And I know as little girls, we do feel we can do anything and we can achieve anything. Probably also depending on where you're born. That does play a huge factor in it. But we do have this power, this, this sense of, I can do anything, I can be an astronaut, I can be anything. And then as life goes by, it's sometimes external circumstances or people telling you, no, maybe you cannot do this, or, we all have heard about the glass ceilings, but it's also life. I think women in so many cases, at certain points, at certain stages in their life, they just give, and they stop receiving. And that is a turning point.
Yes, it is.
And it happens no matter your background, no matter your location, it happens to all of us. And sometimes it's connected to parenthood, but not necessarily. That's when we need to, when we're kids, we know that all the choices are out there. We have the power to choose. When we're adults, we suddenly think that we don't have the power to choose anymore because there's other people who are more important, other circumstances that need to be dealt with. And it's such a shame. So at a certain point, we need to unlearn, as you said, and find that self-love again, find that purpose again, and find that power within that tells us that, yes, we can have it all. And that looks different to everybody. But it's not about choosing, do I want a family or a career? No, men don't even think about that. They know they have a choice to do anything they like. They have this sense of entitlement, which is great, and which is something we need to learn from them.
Yes. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to ask you, how has this affected your life, or have you been in this situation where you felt you had to choose?
Oh, absolutely. And I love what you said, about the sense of entitlement. And I think for women, we have to learn that we don't even have to choose. Like, if we want it, we can have it all. Like, if we want family, if we want children, if we want the career, if we want, whatever we want, we can have it all. Like, I don't know where we got it from, that we have to like choose, like, no, you can't have this, but you can have this, or no, you have to settle for this, but you, no, like, if you want it, you can have it. And that's one of the, I have a book called Eight Elements for Implementing Your Purpose. And the first number one chapter is being intentional. We have to wake up every morning with the intention of whatever I want, I need, I desire, I'm passionate about, I know I'm purposed to do, then I'm going to wake up and do that. And the thing that we have to do as women, we can't wait on society to give it to us or tell us it's okay. We can't even wait on the traditions and the culture to tell us, hey, this is okay. No, if it's not there, if they don't allow you into the room or at the table or, to this particular group, create your own. Why wait, for someone to say, oh, Ona, we welcome you, please come in. And then give them the opportunity to, when they don't want you or they don't like you, or if you don't do something that they approve of, then they say, okay, we don't want you anymore. No, create your own. Create it according to what you feel, from the inside, what you're passionate about, what your purpose to be. Intentionally create it from the ground up. And I think that's something that we as women, we're nurturers and we love to cultivate. We're creators by just nature and how we were created. That's what we do. We give birth, we give life. And so I think we need to put that into, our everyday capacity, and just start creating the thing that you want to see. We hear it all the time, is be the change, that you want to see. Well, create what you want to see. If you see something that say, hey, I like that, but it really doesn't fit into what women really need, and as a woman, I know that. Create something different that is going to help those women who look just like you, or who feel just like you, or who have gone through life's challenges just like you. So I think that we have to get to a place where we say, hey, I want it all and I can have it all. Like, you really can have it all, of course, within perspective, because we want to, keep, the what is it, the modesty of everything, and so, of course, within perspective. But yes, if it's going to be good for you, if it's going to nurture you, if it's going to cause you to grow and develop, and I really think it's all about legacy. Like, what do you want your legacy to look like? When I leave this earth, Melanie, I want to leave with people that, that they had hope when they thought about me, that they had a word of wisdom, or they were able to find, 10 keys that allowed them to step out of, this barrier or situation or this challenge that they were having. I want them to remember that I said something that gave them life, or that gave them some type of way of coping with some of the things that they're going through. So I think that we have to start thinking about our legacy. And I think, what we're passing on to the next generation. So thank you for that question, because it really touched home with my heart.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. And I love that you're speaking about a legacy, because you have definitely worked on that. You are a published author. I have some of your books. And I want to ask you about, and it ties in with the creativity, create something. You created the Global Library of Female Authors. Please
Yes.
Tell us all about that.
Well, the Global Library of Female Authors is women from all around the world who actually, some of them are authors, as in manuscript literature, but it was really created for all of those women who have authored and created, something that enhances the woman, whether that's a organization that, helps women, who may be, taking care in an orphanage, whether that's women who are reaching out to widows, whether that's a woman who's helping other, entrepreneurs become, develop their business, or, whether it is women who are coaches to other women, whatever it is, it's women who have created something to enhance and advance women around the world. They're women leaders, that are in business, they're in community service, they are maybe working at the UN, or maybe they are working with women, for as media or entrepreneurship, or just all of these things. And it was really developed to just highlight them and just let them know how, valuable they are to the world, to their mission, to their to this globe of women who are sitting out here needing someone to connect with. And then it was also created to just let all of us know that we're not alone, that we're not out there doing this mission fight and this building of others. We're just not out there alone. Sometimes, it can feel a little lonely. And you think you're out there, fighting this mission or this battle, or this war by yourself. And it's basically to say, hey, you can always click on this link and you can find another woman that is, doing the mission as well. And, you can even reach out to her because, it has the email addresses on there. It has the websites. And so it was to connect all of us, to let us know that we're out there doing this together.
Exactly. And to everyone watching now, you'll be curious to get hold of those books. Don't worry, because we are going to post the link in the comments on all platforms. So yeah, highly recommend.
Thank you.
Starting with one, and then you'll be hooked. Okay, and another thing you created, which is absolutely fascinating, and it's obviously connected to this female authors library, but it is your big projects that is absolutely amazing. The Female Civility Initiative. Can you tell us, well, first of all, why you thought about creating such an incredible platform, and what are you doing? You're doing amazing work there.
The Female Civility Initiative. I think what we as women really need more than anything is how to be civil with each other. I think, and I have to admit, some of my worst, because that's not a word, sorry. Some of my worst experiences have been with other women. And I think we need to start figuring out how we can start coming together and build each other up for real, genuinely. So I created Female Civility because I want us to start, building those bridges and breaking those barriers. We have a lot of barriers just within womanhood, just within sisterhood, just within being a female. And that's even with generation, the generational gaps, the age gaps. How do we build those bridges amongst all of those categories so that we can start helping each other? We need to hear from our elders, so many lessons with it. I mean, that's our foundation, that's our history. But then our elders must start listening to this generation X, generation Y. There's so much in that we can learn that it's relevant for right now. And so we got to start learning how to build those bridges and removing those gaps, in there so that we can succeed, together. We need each other. The best example I can give is my mother and I, we don't always agree on everything. And a lot of that is because of how she was brought up, whole different era, whole different generation, just everything. But then she has come to the point where sometimes she'll listen to me because she knows that now this is a whole new generation. And I'm even learning, from this new generation of what is and what isn't. And so now I'm the mediator between the generations. And so we've got to learn how to get in sync with one another, learn how to calibrate with one another, learn how to come together and understand that we might not agree on everything. That is okay. But we still have to love each other, accept each other, appreciate each other, and value each other. And so that's what female civility is about. It's about breaking the barriers, whatever those barriers may be. It could be generational. It could be between ethnicity. It could be between countries. It could be sometimes it could be the barriers of our perception and our perspective. So breaking those barriers, building those bridges, and making sure that we leave no female behind, no matter, if she wants to stay behind, we don't want her to stay behind. So we're trying to figure out a way to say, hey, let's all come together. Let's all go together. So that's what female civility is about.
Love it, love it, love it. It's just so phenomenal, and also it's so aligned to what we do in Women Power, because it's so true. I mean, what you mentioned at the beginning, it's so sad that usually our worst experiences come from other women. It's like, no, we can achieve so much more if we walk together hand in hand. And I think, it's obviously for many, many different reasons, but so often it's the insecurities and envies and jealousy. And instead of saying, I see your power, I see you, I honor you, there's enough. Everything.
And I think one thing I have to say too is sometimes we have to realize that it could be us. That's the first thing I do. I sit down and I say, okay, girl, self-evaluation time. Now, was this you? Is this the insecurity that you have? Get yourself together. Was it your thought process? Was it something, because, back in your childhood, did it trigger something from your childhood? Did it trigger something from your past? Sometimes we try to relate to others in a way that we're familiar with the situation, circumstances that we've been through. And, you can't always do that. So I think sometimes, I'll be the bigger person and say, wait, maybe it's not you. Maybe it's me. Please tell me. And so I have, a group of ladies, probably about 2 or 3 that I can go to and say, wait, tell me if it's me. Please tell me if it's me. Am I crazy? Tell me if I'm crazy. Am I being insecure? Am I am my emotions in check? Am I just, in my feelings, am I taking this personal? Tell me, and I give them that permission to be honest with me and to just tell me what it is. And then I accept it and say, okay, I see what you're saying. Let me get myself together. Let me go back to the drawing table. Let me get this right. And I think that's what we have to do, that it can't always be us pointing fingers, at the next person or the next woman or our mothers or the next generation or our daughters or our sisters. And one of those women that I go to is my sister. That is probably the most valuable relationship that I have, is my sister. And I say, look, is it me? Because she's a little bit more passive than I am. She's a little bit more accepting than I am. I'm the one that's saying here, no, cut it off, leave it alone. We're not bothering with this. And she's like, no, give it some more time. You just never know. And so I always go to her because it balances me. And she'll say, no, you need to look at it from this, lens, or look at it, from this perspective. And I'm like, I never thought about that, So I think we have to give ourselves that room too, to accept ourselves if there is something that needs to be changed within us.
That is such a beautiful exercise of self-assessment, which is not easy to do.
No.
But it's so needed. Yes,
it is.
I try to, like on social media, there's so much going on. And I sometimes, when it happens, it doesn't happen that much. But when it happens, if I'm triggered by something, I always look within first and say, okay, Is this something I have to be working on? And it's the only way to grow. And we need to be humble enough to know
Yes.
that we need to keep growing. We need to keep learning, and we're not doing everything right, no matter
No,
what, maybe we have the best intention, but we're not doing the right thing,
that's
and
right.
we need to be open to that. So I love that you shared that. And then obviously you naming your sisters, you're the most important person in your life. I feel the same way about my sister.
Hmm.
I mean, she is just the best support. She's my best friend.
Yes.
And she would be the person I would go to for that
Yes.
also, because I know there's this honest communication between us.
Yes.
And we're also similar enough, but different
Hmm.
enough to
Yes.
find that same balance that
Absolutely.
you're speaking about.
Yes. Yep.
Definitely. And I think it's so important for women, for everybody, but for women to have these spaces as the ones you have created, your community, for women to be okay with sharing, with being open, being in a safe space where they can speak about anything and nobody is going to judge them. I think being able to
Yes.
create a space like that is really powerful
Yes.
and really helpful for
Yeah.
women. So yeah, that's really terribly important. And also, I wanted to ask you, like you're obviously working, you're giving women the tools, you're helping them find the leader within.
Yes.
What do you think, in your experience,
Mhm.
is what makes women feel they are not ready to lead? Because I find this a lot. Whenever you speak to women, they're okay up to a certain level, but
Mhm.
going beyond that, there's always, like a wall there.
Yes.
It's not even the glass ceiling, it's a personal thing.
Yeah.
Have you encountered that?
What I have encountered first, which is why I deal with this first, is self-leadership. When you can get to a place of maturity when it comes to self-leadership, then you understand that you can lead any organization, any group, you can lead on any level. You have to conquer the self-leadership. Usually, when a woman is not willing or afraid or intimidated or feeling, a sense of lack in moving forward to leadership, into those top positions, it is because she's feeling like she's inadequate. She's feeling insecure. She's feeling like, wait, I might not make the best decision. A lot of it is because she thinks that she has to be perfect, that she's got to fit this mold. When you look at a job description, it goes down this list of all of this stuff that they want you to have. And the sad part is when you get in the position, you don't use none of it, you know? And so they get scared off by this big list of things that this company is saying that, hey, this is what we want. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you need, and so that scares them off instead of embracing the challenge to say, hey, I'm confident in my decision-making skills. I am confident that I can do this. I'm confident that I can lead this group of people, that I'll be able to relate to them, that I'll be able to grow myself and grow them, and we grow together. I am confident, that, I can do this. And a lot of times it's because of the lack of self-leadership. Um, and matter of fact, 99.99% of the time, it's because of the lack of self-leadership, because, they're not leading their own lives with making those decisions and being consistent, disciplined, committed, devoted, all of those things to themselves. Now, they can probably say, I'm that way to everybody else, but they can't say that they're that to themselves. That self-leadership is the foundation to being able to do that, because you have to be confident in who you are. You have to be confident in the fact that, you were created for this and that you can do that. So what I've seen in all of them and all of the women that I coach, that I teach and train and talk to, and that I'm friends with, the most thing is the self-leadership part. And I can personally say, for me, that's what it was for me too. Like, being able to be that leader for myself, absent everyone else. So it would be self-leadership.
Absolutely. Again, I have to agree with you 100%. It's so true. And until we are aware of that, we will never become the leader of our lives, not even just, any other arena, just leader of your life.
Yeah.
And I think it also relates to the way we have been made to believe that a woman has to be. I think we sometimes confuse wanting to be ambitious and achieving and, being a leader with being humble and being modest and, being unselfish, because sometimes, leadership can have this connection to selfishness, and it's so wrong. No, it's not connected.
Yeah, that's that unlearning and learning again. Like, we just have to unlearn all of those ridiculous things. And then we have to say, okay, what is the right way for me?
Yes.
What is the right way for me first? And, they always say, okay, what is your leadership style? We have to take the time to figure out, okay, what is our leadership style? And does it fit into any of those prefabricated and pre-made categories? No, I could have a whole different leadership style specifically designed for a specific group. So we don't have to, always fit in. We just have to just be able to just self-leadership, self-assessment, self-growth, self-worth, self-discipline. I mean, I could go on and on with all the selves. We have to master that and then move forward.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you're so right in everything you say. And I really hope that people watching this will take this in. And if just listen to Professor Anna. She's full of wisdom and she's done it. She's walked the talk. She's helped people do it. And these are the things that need to be changed. And of course, through education. That's why your field of work is so important, because we will only change things through education and through also becoming that example and that person that others can be inspired by. And, they can look at you and say, wow, she is everything I would like to be, of course, in my own style, whatever. But, if she's been able to do it, so can I. This is what we want to communicate to anyone watching. Absolutely. And we have a great, I was going to say guest of honor. This is your show. You're not a guest on this show. Mr. DK Bakshi is the founder of Women Power, a global movement. This crazy man who decided to empower women all over the world. And please, DK, I know you already have so much in common with Professor Anna. You're in the leadership field. You also are related through the UN. There's a connection there. So I know you'll probably want to take this conversation further after the show. But don't you just love our guest today, DK? She's so inspiring.
Thank you.
First of all, great good morning to you, Professor Ona Miller in Texas. You live in Texas.
I am in Texas, and good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you, and good afternoon to our super Women Power chapter head Spain, Melanie, who has been involved in this movement from day one. I don't know, when I was hearing your conversation, there were a lot of similarities, as Melanie said, and you clearly said certificates or education. You said education is not necessary. Experience is education. That's so brilliant of you, Professor. And I must salute you what you said. And that is a clear message to women around the world that, of course, we need to go to the universities, schools, business schools, engineering colleges, fashion institutes for education and certificates. But finally, what matters is experience.
Yes.
Second part, which I loved what you said, and which I also keep on saying is, you know, burn the internal and external barriers. And that's another powerful message to women in the world, in any part of the world, irrespective of caste, creed, religion, nationality, and color, saying that let's build bridges.
Yes.
Let's break barriers. Let's build bridges. Let's break barriers. Now, these are not simple, ordinary words from such an esteemed guest this evening, Professor Miller, talking to all of us, those who are watching now or those who are going to be watching later. These are words of wisdom of such a great 2 times doctorate, Professor Miller, and she is talking about building bridges, breaking barriers. And she specifically talked about age gaps, generation gaps, regional gaps. I will not go to religion, but there are religion gaps as well.
Yes, there is.
Now, society, community gaps. And you actually powerfully said we need each other. We love each other. We accept each other. Let's accept each other. Let's need each other. Let's be good with each other. That gave me understanding of what kind of leadership qualities our guest of honor this evening has. And she is so beautifully talked about because perceptions and perspectives keep changing. That's where we need to get into understanding from different areas. You said elders have history and they have experience and they are our guiding force. But at the same time, do not forget your Gen Y and Gen X. Listen to them. Listen to them. This is their world. And let's build that. But don't forget that we are the producers of Gen X and Gen Y. Absolutely. That also is very, very powerful. Absolutely. You talked about. And you said there's another thing, that's where we come very closer. Hashtag Women Power, a global moment, where Melanie is running this along with all of us as a team. You said no female should be behind. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, the word no female should be behind. Why should female be behind? Why should not female be in the front? And this moment of hashtag Women Power is to build women to be in the front. Whether it's my mom, my wife, my sister, my daughter, my colleagues, whosoever, my females at customers, at vendors, at schools where we go and teach, business schools, or universities, or community, or country, or the global world. Yeah. And you said, let's come together, work together, and move together. Yeah. I think you were, and this platform of yours is amazingly beautiful.
Thank you.
And you said 2 words, it hit me: real and genuine. Real and genuine. Because there will be many platforms, and they may not be real and genuine. And they are not real and genuine. Now, when you look at us, and Melanie is a witness to this, we have not a single dollar, single rupee, or a single baht. I belong to Thailand, I belong to India, and dollar is, of course, our global currency. Rather, we invest our own time, effort, energy, and money also to an extent into this movement. And we have not, it's not our earning model. And Melanie has not taken even $1 from out of it. Rather, she has invested, I don't know, this is where I salute Melanie as the Women Power of Spain, who has been consistently working on this. I keep repeating consistently and persistently working on Melanie. This. That's where the power is. Having said that, it's been a learning experience, Professor Miller. This evening, I'm staying in India right now. You are in Texas. Melanie is in Spain. We are in 3 continents of the world, but this Zoom has brought us together. Many people have been watching you, will be watching you. On behalf of Global Talent and on behalf of hashtag Women Power, I certainly would like to thank you so much for sparing your time and sharing your wonderful journey of excellence as a
Thank you.
super women of excellence, women of substance. And I can say at the end, Professor Miller, we all need to go, grow, glow
Yes.
with gratitude and grace. You are a graceful woman,
Thank you.
and you
Thank
have
you.
showed us, you have given us some steps of grace for our women power to move forward. And in case there is a possibility of combining certain efforts between your platform and ours, I think we as a team would certainly be sure to tie in and make it happen, because we are connected globally. There's nothing where it has to be only face to face. So we are on the digital mode. And when you say women power, and I can say, you got the power, I got the power, we got the power. Hey,
Yeah.
we are the power. I repeat, you got the power, I got the power, we got the power. Hey, we are women power of the world. In the process of this women power, I have been nominated as honorable women in this movement. And our mission is 1 million women by 2024, irrespective of caste, creed, nationality, religion, and color. And my salute to you as an women of substance to be on this show this evening. And of course, my salutes to my, uh, I'm emotionally attached with Milani. She's a darling sister, and she has been involved from day one, and she really does a great job for our women power movement. Thank you, Professor Miller. As a leadership coach, as a leadership trainer, I got some wonderful tips from you on the leadership when you talk about self-evaluation and self-assessment and all that. And thank you, Milani, for getting such powerful, passionate, passionate people who would like to contribute to the global world. They don't look at face, they don't look at color, they don't look at nationality, they look at human being. One
Yes.
world, one love, one
Yes.
human being.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, DK. Your words are always so uplifting. And thank you for everything you do for women in particular, for the world as a whole. So yeah, it's been such a pleasure being part of Women Power from day one. And I just can't wait to see where this goes. And you know, we get to do this show every single week. It's usually Mr. Bakshi is running the show, but then once a month it's other people from all over the world, from India, and then one of the Saturdays it's me. And it's like the highlight of the month because I get to, you know, chat to incredible powerhouses and let the world see, you know, what is going on in this female world, which is everybody's world, but you know, we focus on the female. So Professor Anna, what can I say? Thank you so much for being here with us. I know you're really busy, so I really appreciate you making the time, getting up so early to be on the show. I hope you have a wonderful day ahead, and you've inspired us, you've inspired the audience, and we know all the replay viewers are going to find those so many nuggets of wisdom. They'll probably have to go back to the show because you've shared a lot of things, as Dika was saying, you know, there's so much we can think about of what you shared. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I am grateful.
We are
salute you, both. Salute you,
I
both.
salute you too.
And to everybody watching, please join us next Saturday with another amazing guest, Women of Excellence. As you know, every single Saturday for the last 18 months already, we've been bringing you Women of Excellence from around the world to inspire you. You can be, do, or have whatever you want to be, do, or have. So everybody, thank you so much for watching. See you soon.
Bye-bye. Great day to you and great evening to you, Milani.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.